Detroit is moving like a team that's done being polite. And I'm telling you right now, this is the moment where you start to feel that shift from fun story to serious problem for the NFC, because the front office is lining up something that isn't loud, isn't flashy, but could change how this offense wins games when it matters most. You're watching Lions News Fan Report, and if you live this team the way I do, hit subscribe, drop a like, turn on alerts, because I'm going to walk you through the kind of move that contenders make at this point in the season. Where we're looking, why we're looking there, and how it could turn red zone stress into playoff leverage. We're less than 2 weeks from the NFL trade deadline on November 4, and everybody is yelling about edge rushers and corners like always. But the smartest teams aren't chasing noise, they're attacking matchups. Detroit right now is not acting like a team searching for identity. Detroit is acting like a team trying to add one more problem for defensive coordinators to solve in January. And that takes us straight into what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing on tape, and the exact profile of player this staff seems to value. I'm going to talk about a tight end, but don't switch off just because you think we already have Sam Laporta, because that's not the point. The point is how this offense looks when it lines up with 2 tight ends the defense actually has to respect as receivers. That's different, and that's where this gets interesting for us. Right now, the Lions' offense already forces you to choose your pain. You load the box, Goff throws behind your ear. You sit in too high, we pound you until your interior line can't breathe anymore. But there's still one specific area where we can get nastier, and that's those heavy looks where we come out with power personnel, show run, and then hit you down the seam with a tight end who is basically playing wide-out speed out of a tight end body. I'm talking about the kind of guy who doesn't just block the edge and get out of the way. I'm talking about a real move tight end, somebody who can line up off the tackle, motion across the formation, slip past a linebacker, and turn a basic 2nd and 6 into a 24-yard gain that kills your crowd and flips the field. That profile has a name right now around the league: Chigo Okonkwo, Tennessee Titans. And yeah, let's sit in that for a second, because this is exactly the kind of player who fits what Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell want to do when the game is tight and the other team already knows what's coming. Okonkwo is not your classic old-school tight end who lives attached to the line and throws bodies around and then catches 2 dump-offs a game. He's a stretch tight end. He's built to attack space. He's built to pull linebackers into panic. He's built to hurt safeties that take a bad angle. He's been productive with Tennessee, not just in flashes but across full seasons, catching more than 50 balls in both 2023 and 2024, and early in this current stretch, he's already over 20 catches and a couple hundred yards in 7 games. That tells me 2 things I care about. 1, he can be trusted in structure because they keep feeding him. And 2, he doesn't disappear when coverage tightens and the quarterback needs a clean outlet. That matters to us because Jared Goff thrives on rhythm and timing. Goff is elite when he knows where the bailout is, and that bailout can actually move the chains instead of just getting tackled short. We've seen that trust with Amon-Ra St. Brown underneath. We've seen that trust starting to grow with Gibbs in motion. Imagine giving him that same trust outlet at tight end, but as the second tight end, not even the first. That's how you make defensive coordinators hate their job. You line up with Laporta and Okonkwo at the same time, and you basically force the defense into a no-win decision. If they stay in base to match size, you motion one of those tight ends out wide, and now a slow linebacker is stuck in space. If they go nickel to get speed on the field, we just mash the run game behind one of the best offensive lines in football and bleed them out. That is not trick football. That is playoff football. And that's exactly why you go get a guy like this if the price is right. Let me go deeper, because this isn't only about pass catching. It's about how you close games in the 4th quarter. In December and January, everybody in the stadium knows you're trying to shorten the game and lean on your identity. Everybody knows you're trying to control the clock. That's when the great teams start dictating looks pre-snap. 2 dangerous tight ends on the field at once lets you dictate. You show run, the defense bites, and then one tight end breaks into the flat and the other climbs the seam. Somebody is open at the sticks. That keeps drives alive. That burns clock. That drains hope. That's what frightens defensive coaches in the postseason, not a flashy deep shot in the first quarter of Week 3. And then there's another layer here that I don't want Lions fans to miss: contract and age. Detroit is no longer in panic mode, throwing money at problems and praying. We're in sustain mode. You have to build the roster so that you can pay your core, keep your flexibility, and still add firepower without blowing up the cap. Chigo Okonkwo fits that window. He's young, he's still on an affordable deal, and he's under team control beyond this year. You're not renting an aging veteran for 8 games and crossing your fingers. You're adding cost-controlled production at a premium role in a modern offense. That's how you keep a Super Bowl window open instead of selling out for one shot. And don't underestimate the locker room side. Dan Campbell is not bringing in anybody soft. This team is built on buy-in. It's built on effort, toughness, accountability. You walk into Allen Park and you're expected to be part of that. Okonkwo has been described league-wide as a worker, a guy who can line up in multiple spots and just do his job, and I'm telling you that matters to this staff. They don't just want talent. They want talent that will accept a role and then punish defenses inside that role. That is exactly how you stack wins in January. Now, will Tennessee move him? That's the tension. The Titans are in that in-between stage where they're trying to develop a young quarterback and they don't want to take all his weapons away. They've invested in keeping at least some stability around the kid. So no, this isn't a giveaway situation where you just pick up the phone and steal him for free. That's not how it works. But here's why his name is still real. Teams around the league know he can play, know his contract is friendly, and know that he's not just a depth piece, he's a matchup piece. That's why you're hearing his name in possible movement talks with actual contending teams. And that's why I'm bringing it to you today. Because this, right here, is what it looks like when the Lions operate like a contender. We're not waiting for the off-season. We're not sitting back saying maybe next year. We're identifying one specific area on offense that could be even more brutal in high-leverage moments. We're targeting a player who directly answers that need, and we're timing it with the trade window. That's not luck. That's work. My read is simple. Adding a move tight end like Chigo Okonkwo next to Sam Laporta would not just make our offense more dangerous on paper. It would make us harder to defend in every important situation. Red zone, third and medium, last drive, clock kill mode. It makes Jared Goff's life easier. It makes Ben Johnson's playbook meaner. And it makes this team look even more like a real NFC problem. Not just a cute story. Now I want to hear you. Do you think a move like this is exactly what we should be doing right now? Or do you want those assets pointed at defense instead? Do you think doubling down at tight end is overkill? Or do you see what I see? That this is about playoff football, not fantasy football stats? Tell me in the comments. I read you, and this channel is built around you. You've been watching Lions News Fan Report. Stay with us, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and keep riding with me through the deadline, because we're not talking maybe someday anymore. We're talking about building a roster that walks into January knowing it can finish the game.